Hi folks, welcome back to another episode of Geekified. As usual, we like to keep on trending up to date with anything that's going on, and a massive piece of news that has happened to pop up on a couple of websites now within the last 24 hours is the one and only Leonardo DiCaprio might be joining the MCU. Now for me, that was a bit of a shocker seeing someone like that join, because I see Leonardo DiCaprio is being slightly out of sync from doing stuff like the MCU. I don't know how the rest of the guys feel, but we're going to go and have a bit of a talk it. So just want to welcome everybody to the episode. Hi, Nathan. Hey,
Howdy.
Tony.
Hello.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, man.
So let's get discussing this one. Leonardo DiCaprio is, I can't remember, I won't actually name the website because I can't remember it anyway, but the main website that broke the story over the course of the last day has edited it a couple of times as well, so it looks like they've got some definitely solid news that he is in talks. So the big question, I think, is who is it? Who is he playing? What character is it? It's Leonardo DiCaprio.
I have four options.
Right.
2 good guys, 2 bad guys.
I like that. Like keeping it open. I think he's good for both.
I know 3 of the characters pretty well. One of the characters I'm not that familiar with, but I've read a wee bit about it and it makes sense to me as well.
Right. So I'll go first. I usually go with you guys, but I'm not going to give names. I'm going to put out something what I think is going to happen. I think that it's just going to be a voice role. That's what I think. I think it's just going to be voice. We don't CGI. I think he'll be using his name, plugging his name on it, and just using the voice. I won't go into who the people are that I think it is.
What would be the point in doing that? What would be the point in doing that? I mean, it's not like Marvel needs to sell the film, is it? You know, it's.
Well, that's Christian Bale. That's what he's doing. Right. He's not. He's yeah. So I mean, sorry.
I can't see like DiCaprio doing that. He hasn't really done anything like that before. He seems to, gets fairly well involved in the roles he does. So I would imagine him. I don't think he'll do a small part, a major role if he wants to do anything.
Yeah. Right, we'll go to you first, Nathan. You've got a call of 4. Okay. So who do you think? Who's up for you?
Do you want me to do one at a time or all 4?
One at a time. Let's do it nice and steady. Don't want to have a 5-minute episode.
I'll do the one that I'm not. I'll do the one that I'm not as familiar with.
Okay.
It's Adam Warlock.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
I thought would fit quite well, with his looks, apart from anything else, and also just I think he could play that sort of role really well. So that was my first thought.
I think that's a good one. I was actually looking for a pen to take out Adam Warlock off my notes. That's me as one kill for me. So
the only thing I know about it is the stuff that I saw in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, isn't it? That's very small, sort of hint at it. And I've read a wee bit more about it the other day, and I thought it would just be a really solid role for him.
And he's very, very powerful. He's one of the most powerfulest characters in the MCU. And he is good and bad.
Yep.
So
that'd be an interesting.
Ticks those 2 Leonardo DiCaprio things that he does.
Plus the fact, the way I think about it as well is with Robert Downey Jr. not being in it now, you don't have that big A-list guy to carry the franchise anymore, and him coming in as a major role like that, it could do that again.
Yeah, it's a really good call. Yeah, because obviously we've seen that little segment. I think it was an after credits scene for Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. I don't even think it was actually part of the film after credits, where we give the nod to Alicia, I think her name is, the Gold Queen, at the end looks at the chamber and says that we'll call him Adam. So does anyone else want to have a go, or will we just go for a full run on Nathan's?
Yeah, no, well, we can kind of come in like the whole point, picking up the whole Robert Downey Jr. is Robert Downey Jr. didn't really or doesn't want to leave the MCU, and they will be using him in some aspect or other. And then way before they were saying, well, how can they keep affording Robert Downey Jr.? And then people say, oh, it's Disney, it's Marvel, they can afford, anyone, which, is the case to a degree. But when you've had someone for 10 films and a slate of 10 films, that is, I think, far too much money. And bringing someone in like Leonardo DiCaprio, I think he's on similar par. He's one of the most powerfulest actors in Hollywood. He is.
Yeah, you got to think about DiCaprio. DiCaprio doesn't tend to do the big, big budget films. Well, obviously he's done them, but he doesn't. He goes more for the role than the the prestige of the film, whatever. So I don't think he's not going to be on the 40-45 million that Downey Jr. or Keanu Reeves are on, because they do the blockbusters all the time.
Yeah, but
I think that plus the fact, a bad Marvel film now is 650 million, 700 million.
Mm-hmm.
So they can afford anybody.
Yeah, but then that's the thing. But it's like, can you tie Leonardo DiCaprio down for 3 to 5 films? You can't tie him down whatsoever.
Well, if you pay him enough money, you can.
True.
And Mr. DiCaprio does love his luxuries, so I mean he and his young ladies.
Yeah, which is why I do dig what Chris said in terms of the voice role, because it gives him flexibility, doesn't tie him down, can come in and out of a studio in a day, still get his wage, still be a part of the Marvel get that little tick by using his name, so it ticks all those boxes. I think that's the easiest way to use him. However, I would love him to visually be on screen as well, because I'm a big fan of his as well.
But that's the thing. Who isn't though? You know what I mean? It's Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't think there is any bigger actor just now, and who's for if you equate everything together, value, how much they bring in, etc. I think he's probably the biggest there is at the moment.
And the fact that he's basically Scorsese's muse now, taking over from De Niro, sort of said a lot, I think, for the caliber of an actor he is. But I think for me it would be a waste of having him in something if he's not on.
Yeah. No, I feel both of your comments. It's such an open debate, isn't it? It's bizarre. You just don't know what. I'd love him to be in it, but it's so confusing.
It's kind of, and even though I like him, it's kind of. I'm afraid that it might take me out of the MCU world, seeing him in a Marvel film. The only way I could, as a Marvel fan is, if you want Leonardo DiCaprio to be his best, you put him in a suit, like in a corporate situation, and you give him a monologue to say.
That brings me to my next two choices.
Well, go for it, because I'll probably back it up. Because I think this is what you do. If you want my best, that's what you do. You put him in a suit, give him a monologue, and then bankable.
Okay, my next one, first bad guy.
Hold on. I'm going to let Nick get a shot in, because both of you have talked. Sorry. So sorry, Nick's not spoke. So, Nick, it's on to you, mate. Give us one of yours.
See, honest with you, I wouldn't mind seeing him as like Norman Osborn, doing Green Goblin with Spider-Man in some way, shape, or form.
That's my next one.
Good. Well, see, it's just that, obviously, I don't know if we're going to talk about the other casting news. It was also just hanging today, but obviously I know they want to do that whole Spider-Verse thing as well. So, like, if they had him, obviously, as maybe Tom Holland's, like, Green Goblin, and then if they're going to do the other sort of older guys and have, like, maybe William Dafoe come back and do a bit as well, I think it'd be quite a good sort of big thing, because obviously I think Spider-Man's going to be, their sort of crown jewel now, because Tom Holland's as young as he is, so he's going to be able to do far more films than a lot of the other sort of actors. So I think if they're going to do it, they'll probably maybe put him in one of the Spider-Man movies, might be the idea, because obviously Spider-Man's like Marvel's version of Batman, some of the stuff. So that's a main guy that sells toys, which is the bottom line for Marvel. So I'd say Norman Osborn's probably maybe the one. He wears a suit and can be a businessman, and it's a serious enough role that he can get away with doing. Because obviously the majority of his films out with Django has been like really serious films. Obviously the topics in Django were quite serious, but like the more comedic sort of film he'd done. But I think he would suit that role really well.
Yeah, and I think definitely that's what I would put him as. But I would be quite stylish and not have him as the Green Goblin. Just have him hint it, but you never get to see him as that, you know. And plus, it links with the whole Thunderbolts as well, which they're trying to create, because there's a Thunderbolts issue with Norman Osborn. So that could, again, I think he could be the whole this, you know, linking. Remember my theory about the blood, you know, how Bruce Banner to save, you were saying, Chris, was to save his, was it his niece or his cousin?
It's his cousin.
Yeah, his cousin, yeah. So they'll
Jennifer
use
Walters
that.
becomes
Jennifer Walters, they'll use that. And I think it'll be Norman Osborn's company who'll be involved in that. And then you'll have Leonardo DiCaprio as one of the big main people now, just like Tony Stark, but in a much bigger technological role, but playing both sides, baddies and goodies, and you're not too sure where he lies.
Yep. Very good. Wow. So we're managing to tick off each other's boxes as we're doing this. This is why I went to Nick. I knew that one was going to come in as well. Right, Nathan.
I think that's the most obvious one anyway.
Okay, my next guy is Mr. Fantastic.
Right, okay. I never actually thought of that either.
I never thought of that.
I was sort of thinking him or maybe the Human Torch, but I thought he'd be better as Mr. Fantastic.
I think he's probably just a smidge too old for Human Torch, because he's supposed to be, he's a bit cheeky, naive, daft, plays about a lot.
Yeah.
But I think
we want Chris Evans to play him in the alternative universe. Just for a laugh.
My God, yeah, that would be hilarious.
But yeah, no, I think he'd be an awesome Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Because he's supposed to be, Mr. Fantastic's obviously a wee bit older than the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit more wiser, you know, he's got the air of power and everything else, and I think DiCaprio can bring that really well to the screen. I did actually, when I thought of that, I thought I better check that they haven't actually announced who's cast as that yet.
Well, they're looking at John Krasinski for that, aren't they?
Yeah. But
and everyone thinks it's a done deal.
Yeah, he's been in talks with his wife, Emily Blunt, as well, for a long time.
And Emily Blunt has been seen for Marvel for about over the last 7 years for a role, and apparently she was very, very close to getting
Black Widow.
Black Widow and Marvel, Miss Marvel. So we're going to bring in. So yeah,
I think that's quite a very. Mr. Fantastic is an interesting one, because obviously bringing in the Fantastic Four, if it gets done right properly with Marvel and not Fox, and it becomes a big thing, you've got longevity with that one as well. So you've got someone you could probably keep in.
I love Fantastic Four films.
So did I.
I loved them. Apart from the new ones, I didn't like it. I liked the Silver Surfer in the first one.
I liked the new
one.
one.
The new one.
I like the new one.
No.
Nah, new one was.
New one was guff.
Yeah.
New one was abs.
Some of the best actors, a great cast, and you still screw it up. But anyway.
But do you know why? It was called studio meddling. That's all they like to do. You can literally see the point in that film where it changes. You can see the point. It's like a body dysmorphia film. It's quite scary and quite weird, and then suddenly it shifts to we've got to be all friends and just work together to save the day. And you're like, I can see where the studio cut in.
Yeah, because that was a very dark Fantastic Four at one point. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, but it was good. It was real.
Right after the bit they find him on the planet, isn't it? It's really dark, and it just gets a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, let's have a superhero battle.
Yeah.
The team will win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, it became so cheesy. The fact that it was so forced on you, like they had to work together to win. It's the only way. It was bloody awful.
Yeah. The only other person I've got, which we still need to see, is Nova.
Yeah, so we've still not got Nova.
Another powerful person. But again, I don't think it'll be right for him, but he is a big character in space. So, but I don't think Leonardo DiCaprio does space. So,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, if he has to.
Sorry, carry on.
So I think like if you're in a Marvel film where you've got not really very much options apart from addressing the fact that nearly every Marvel series is linked to space now somehow, by having another character coming in or discussing it. It's in the news. It's just something there. It's always there now.
That's why I always think, DiCaprio would be an Earth-based character, which my vote is on Norman Osborn. But anyway.
Yeah.
Go,
I
Nathan.
feel you.
This is a bit out of left field, this one.
Oh,
but
left
I
field,
think
you're fantastic. Okay, go.
Yeah, this is probably the best one, I think.
Miss Marvel.
Deacon Frost. Because I think that him playing off against what's his name? Mahershala Ali as Blade would be fantastic. It would be fantastic, the two of them in one film. I think I can never say his name. The guy from Moonlight. He's a fantastic actor, but I think he's almost too good an actor for a Marvel type film, if that makes sense. And I think you bring somebody who's as good an actor on the other side. And plus, and I love Stephen Dorff in the original Blade film. And I think that he's got a similar look to DiCaprio, and he's even a bit similar the way he acts in a lot of things. So I think it would be a really good casting. My favourite.
Yeah, I don't personally, I don't think it's big enough for him. That's the thing. I think like it'd be something huge, but I like the idea of him playing him. It would be very good because he is a very, very, he's a crazy character, and he's in the Blade series a lot.
Yeah. Well, if you see him in Deacon, we're talking about. If you see like DiCaprio in Django and DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street, he plays that sort of maniacal figure in both of those films really, really well. And obviously there'll be a comedy to it, but you could put that into the Blade films. There's a touch of it in the original Blade film anyway, but I think it would just be awesome.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think that would be good as well. I'm looking forward to the Blade series though in general. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Hopefully they go R-rated with it like they did with more like along the Deadpool sort of adult Marvel.
Oh, how can you not? It's vampires who eat people. You can't exactly be a PG-13, can you?
And I have read that Disney are planning on doing that. They're planning on having like an adult section on, not like in the not like the top shelf in the newsagent, like an adult section on the Disney Plus website, which is going to have things like Deadpool, Logan, all those sort of films in there, and they're looking at doing an Alien series and stuff like that as well. So. And there's talk of a more adult Star Wars type material, which Mandalorian is sort of hinting at anyway. So I could definitely see quite a brutal Blade film.
It's the Blade film. I think it'll cross over to the Morbius film.
Yeah, it's got to.
It has to, eh?
Yeah, got to.
Got
to. If it doesn't, I'd be shocked because Blade does fight Morbius a couple of times, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Morbius is
two anti-heroes together, fighting, so.
Morbius is the living vampire.
Yeah. Is that not in the Venom world, which is Sony?
Yeah, but Sony have now with the whole.
But the Venomverse is separate from the Spider-Verse and the Marvel universe.
Not because I'm sure I heard that it's all combining.
No, Kevin Feige is a consultant on it, but it doesn't link directly into the Marvel story.
I said that 10 years ago with Spider-Man, and look where we are now.
I know.
I don't know where it all started, but the first deal that they did was the CGI mapping of the cities.
Uh-huh.
So to save them time, because they took so long doing all the CGI mapping all the cities, they went, well, can we just use yours? So they shared.
That was it?
Yeah, that was it. So that's when the first contract, apparently, that's what I heard. It was the first, started helping each other. So
there you go. Just mapping a city gets you into the Marvel world.
Yeah.
Nick, anything else, buddy? What have you got?
I'd say Doctor Doom would be alright as well. That'd be a good shout from.
Yeah.
It's a big enough character. It overlaps a few other franchises as well, so that could be another shout from.
Mm-hmm. And he has worn a mask before.
Yep. An
Iron one. Oh, yeah.
Iron one.
Now that is interesting because Doom is probably one of the biggest villains in the Marvel universe. It's Earth-based, space-based. He's very, very big, and he's not been done right at all.
No, I'd love to see Zac Efron as Doctor Doom.
I've got another list.
If you watch the Ted Bundy film he did, He's so good at that sort of
Charming.
charming,
He's a charmer.
utterly psychotic, that I think he would fit in really well with Doctor Doom.
I just, it's just like Doom is so big. He can cross over so much of all the worlds. I mean, he's part of the Illuminati. He's part of, so is Mr. Fantastic as well. Either way, you could end up with Leonardo DiCaprio as being one of the Illuminati eventually if they do cross into that. Underused story there that nobody's talking about.
I can't believe no one's mentioned Iron Man. I know we don't want it, but I remember years ago he was on a list. I wouldn't want it, but it's on that list in an alternative universe.
I'm having a bit of an issue. I was talking to Chris about this the other day with this multiverse stuff and all this sort of stuff. You know, recasting, like, so they're talking about Thingy Melina coming back to play Dr. Octopus and stuff like that. You're just like, it doesn't interest me. Like, they're just, I don't know, just starting, don't bring back all the old shit. Just do a new film. If you want to cast it again, cast it again. I don't
but
like
these aren't recasts. These are universes colliding.
Yeah.
I think it's just the only reason they're doing that is so they can make 1,000 more films. And again, we're getting to the point where we're almost getting saturated with these films anyway.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think that these are different timelines and different universes that have happened, and these people, all these universes basically get smashed together, and there's crossovers of all the different things. This multiverse thing is not going to last long. It'll be one saga, and that'll be it, and it'll probably go back to normal after this.
So only the 22 films then.
Just the 22, yeah.
I think that's true. I think it's just to rejigger and reset the new phase in Marvel. But I also think in some of these announcements, I just think they're just going to reuse footage, you know, and then that's why they need to announce them. But I do think they will have the reason why, you know, the Spider, you know, people have been, you know, like, I can't even talk tonight. They will do a scene between the three Spider-Man. It's so weird saying
people.
3 Spider-Men talking together to explain to Tom Holland, you know, this is what's going on, this is why, you know.
Yeah, I'll get Marty McFly in there. That'll scare him. See them talking together. Like,
don't touch.
We've got so many movie crossovers of where, like, in the movies where people come together, like, you don't touch them, you don't talk to them, you don't mix with yourself from other universes and all that.
Yeah.
What's the new rules going to be? What's the new rules?
Yeah.
It's like 2 Spider-Men high five each other. What was the film? You couldn't touch a copy of yourself if you went back. You just vaporized or something. You 2 you just melted into each other.
Yeah.
I can't remember now. I know what film it was. I've seen it. But it's
and I know it's a bit off sort of thing what we're kind of talking about casting, but I think the whole Captain America going back in the timeline has got something to do with this as well, and not just Scarlet Witch. It's him going back. There's 2 Captain Americas in the same timeline, technically. So I think he's got something to do with it as well.
Well, this brings us to one of the leaks that is a casting, and I've totally forgot his name. I'm going to have to Google it, but it was basically Kang the Conqueror. So basically, all these messes of this. I'm not going to absolutely destroy his name because it's terrible.
I read that as well, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. I had Khan as well as Leonardo DiCaprio. But that's a very because it was a very, very complex story with the whole Tony Stark thing. When Tony Stark died with his decoy, and it's as if it's like in the future we think it's Khan, but it's actually Tony Stark. It's something to do with his decoy or something, and it gets really, really complicated. Yeah, because that's what it is. I think it's something to do with Tony Stark. Before he died, he made sort of like a security droid or something to protect Pepper Potts and his daughter. So when he did leave, there was someone to protect them. But then that in the future becomes with Tony Stark's AI. I think that's got like Khan or something.
So I've got Jonathan Majors as being the guy, but that's not who I thought it was. Jonathan Majors was from that awful show Lovecraft Country that I watched. It was pretty terrible. It's all right, it was just me. But that wasn't who I thought it was. But anyway, like obviously Kang the Conqueror tries to correct time. You know what I mean? It's like, so if all these people are going back and messing about with time, this is the guy who's coming back to basically destroy everybody who's messing about with his timeline and put everything straight. So that could be a villain that is coming at some point, but that I wouldn't say DiCaprio for that though.
Could DiCaprio be Galactus?
Galactics, yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
So many.
Because obviously
There
they
is.
did it with Josh Brolin with Thanos, where they didn't, they CGI'd him.
Yeah.
So they could CGI him up.
Yeah.
Use the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. Well,
But Norman Osborn, that's my vote.
Deacon Frost.
I don't know. Nick, have you got any more?
No, that was just my two villains really.
Right, I'm voting Norman Osborn on this one, I'm afraid. I
I had him on my list, so I'll take it.
But
I thought
but not as the Green Goblin, just in his suit for whole film.
Yeah.
I think that Leonardo DiCaprio would make a fantastic Batman.
So yeah, I think he'd be quite good at that actually.
Good as
He'd
Batman,
be a
actually.
fantastic
But
Batman.
yeah, Tenor, he of course he's screen tested for that.
He'd be an even better Bruce Wayne, wouldn't he? But I think he'd be an awesome Batman, Bruce Wayne.
I think he'd be a great Joker.
I think he'd be great at anything. He's just such a good actor. He can do anything.
He could bloody play anything. That is the thing. That is the actual thing. Right, well, there you go. It looks like the vote is swinging towards Norman Osborn. So Leonardo DiCaprio will be playing Norman Osborn. You heard it here. First
Deacon Frost.
on Geekified.
Deacon Frost.
Nathan, I think a dog's barking somewhere outside your house. Don't know what that noise is. It's just nonsense. No, so that's it. Geekified Team are pretty much saying it's a 3 versus 1. Norman Osborn is coming to the MCU, being played by Leonardo DiCaprio. So we will see. Anyway, thanks very much for joining us to discuss Leonardo DiCaprio and who will be in the MCU. Thank you very much to Nathan. Thank you very much, Tony. And thank you, Nick. We can do this all day.